Hey guys, Gabe Eltaeb here, Big Man Comics Live. Welcome in. Grant Rasha's here. He's the first dude here. Today we're working on more of the Unstoppable Tyrus. I didn't get going this morning. I woke up late, man. I was up all day yesterday. I got up very early, made myself breakfast. My wife always makes me coffee and eggs and all that, but I made my own breakfast. That's right. It was very sad. And then I was up very late with Jericho, having a great time on Double Impact. We were talking about Madam Web, the worst movie I've ever seen. The worst movie I ever saw was the one where Arnold Schwarzenegger has a baby called Junior from 1993 or 4. That movie reigned for 31 years as the champion of worst movies I've ever seen. It was knocked off by Madam Web from Sony, the Spider-Man related movie. The worst movie I've ever seen from wire to wire. You can't believe it if you see this movie. It's bad from the opening second to the very end. It's really the worst thing I've ever seen. But yeah, I'll be inking a little bit of the Unstoppable Tyrus for you guys right here. Hit the like, share this out, guys. Take your finger out of your nose and hit the share button, hit the like button, all that. Make sure you're subscribed. YouTube does like to unsub people. But we're going to keep doing these lives. I'm going to be doing these lives Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and then Friday's my Datitude show with Jericho. It'll always be 11 to noon Pacific. And the live on Wednesday is the evening live. That's 7 till 10 p.m. Pacific. It's all Pacific time. So make sure you're tuning in for those. Real quick, I'll show you a little bit of stuff, and then we'll get into some drawing. Here is some preview of some pencils from the Unstoppable Tyrus. This is going to be so fun to ink. It's the Underground Battle versus some of the Mana Beasts. I won't say much about it. I don't want to spoil it or anything like that. But yeah, these are the unfinished pencils. I'm going to be inking this stuff in the coming days and weeks. We have 60 pages complete, and pages 61 through 70 are currently being illustrated by Acheon. Then we also have this book here, Empyrean Earth Illuminated. This one is ready to be done. I think the colors could be done this weekend or maybe in a week from now. But yeah, this will be completely done, the artwork for this. 120 pages, like a Hollywood movie. That's how I write my stuff. The 3-act Hollywood hero's journey, the action adventure, all that Spielbergian, George Lucas stuff from the 80s. That's the way I write stuff. That's the way I love to write stories. Anyone that has read the books I put out has been thrilled. They love it. This is of the highest quality. So you're going to love this. A husband and wife team, she discovers the legend of a hidden lost paradise that this benevolent ruler has been hiding from his people. He wants to keep everyone under his boot. It's kind of like a North Korea situation. She's a brilliant scientist. Her husband is the daring devil-may-care test pilot, and they're looking for this lost paradise to set the people of Solus free. And there's a huge conspiracy to stop them. There's androids, cyborgs, robots, space travel, lasers, explosions, everything you love about Star Wars that Disney unfortunately destroyed. I've got it for you right here in a gorgeous 120-page full color book. Right from my imagination, my good friends, the Webb family, they came up with the premise, and I wrote a script based off of this short little premise they had, and I thought it was a brilliant idea for a comic. So I love tackling all genres, spy stuff, action stuff, sci-fi, superheroes. We're doing it all, and we're moving forward. As soon as the Unstoppable Tyrus is being done, laid out and penciled by Acheon, he's going to move on to illustrating Dean Cain, All-American Lawman. This book right here, Empyrean, we're going to be putting this baby up for pre-order, crowdfunding, probably within the next month or so. 2 months most, I would hope. But yeah, we just got to get it done and get it ready for the printer. Because I want you guys, when you crowdfund this stuff, you have to feel the assurance. You have to feel the trust that you're going to get it in a timely fashion. So we want that done. So I put the risk out there. You know, I put the risk out there to make this book, and crossing my fingers, you guys are going to want to crowdfund it. It's printing and production and shipping and all that stuff. And, you know, I'm confident in my work. So I'm so confident in it that I know you're going to want to pick this up. So yeah, the Empyrean is an amazing. I'm just kind of going through fast. I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's an awesome book. And it has everything I love from Star Wars, a little bit of Dune, all those influences I had from the 80s and into the very early 90s for sci-fi stuff. And it's been a great collaboration. I've loved working with the people on this. So yeah, you're really going to like this. It's been a passion project. It's been over a year, been working on this. So, but we're picking up steam as a publisher that we are doing more and more books. I hope to have 3 to 5 books out this year. I hope to have those available for you guys. So, and here I am with the iPad and the pencil, doing inks, the Woke Breaker. Hail all, Nix Wabakata Wilson. Sorry, I can't pronounce that. He says, oh yeah. And Grant Rosh is in here. Guys, make sure to hit the link and share this out. But yeah, join me every day here, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and we will get it done, ink and stuff. And please ask questions. I love talking to you guys about the business of art, about my thoughts on how it's done, because I'm always learning too. I'm always learning and evolving, buying new books, reading stuff. But you can't just read things, right? You got to actually like then put it into practice. It'd be like being fat and out of shape and then just reading a bunch of exercise and diet books and then never exercising and dieting. You don't want to do that. You got to take action. So yeah, you can do study, you can do this and that, but I'd take action. Like I have some drawing books by Marcos Muestre, and I sit there and draw what's in the books. I copy it, his anatomical stuff, his ideas about 3D perspective and shadows, and I literally will sit there and copy the pages over and over and over to ingrain in my mind what he's thinking instead of just reading his book. The Walt Breaker says, cash confirmation. Are you serious? Kash Patel confirmed as FBI director. That is fantastic. And hopefully it has teeth. Hopefully they don't just put him in there and then try and run circles around him. And he seems like a brilliant guy. If I remember correctly, it was he and California congressman, see, California's not all bad, Devin Nunes, that brought Trump the info that showed that the Russia thing was a lie, a deep state conspiracy to frame Trump for being colluding with the evil Putin. So I think Kash Patel was one of the people behind that, a true patriot. So Cash is going to kill it with Pam Bondi. Mad Moxie says hello, chat. And Wokeberg says not confirmed yet, just vote. Oh, okay. I thought the vote was supposed to be at like 10:30 today. So yeah, I don't know what's going to happen to these awful like deep state globalist people, because they've had their scam in Ukraine. And it's like, to us, it's a news story, but to the people there, it's a tragedy. Think of all the young men dead, all the innocent men, women, and children, civilians dead. For what? For what? So warmongers can sell tanks and planes and bombs, and so they can have more caviar and more yachts and more vacation homes. People are literally burnt to death, blown up, terrified, killed. So the elites can keep saying, "Oh, no peace deal, just keep going." It's disgusting. It's really something. But there's a Southern saying, and I might be getting it wrong, but the basic premise is a hit dog hollers, right? And as soon as Elon and them started really exposing what we all knew, that this stuff is all a scam, it's all embezzlement, all the USAID and all that, you saw who started coming out and screaming and having press conferences, all those Elizabeth Warren and Schumer and all these people. It's like, yeah, because their gravy train is being dismantled in front of their faces, and they don't like it. And when did they come out and protest when there was a big toxic train derailment that polluted the area in East Palestine, Ohio? When did they come out and talk about people losing jobs during the lockdown? When did they come out and hold a rally screaming, frothing, spitting blood during the housing crisis of 15 years ago or whatever? When did they ever do anything when it was hurting the people badly? But as soon as their bullshit USA, the gravy train, is threatened, now they're out in public screaming. Now it's a tragedy. Now it's a threat to democracy. Okay. I've known forever, and so have you. Most of you, I'm certain, if you thought about it for 2 seconds, known exactly how foreign aid and charity work. I'm a politician. Let's pretend I'm a politician. And I say to Nick Squabato Wilson in the chat, hey, Nick, I need to build merry-go-rounds in Ukraine. Do you know anyone that builds them? And then you go, Nick, you go, I do. I build those. And then I say, what do you charge? The normal price of $100? You're like, no, I charge $10,000 for each one. I say, here you go. Here's taxpayer money. Now build these carousels and then buy yourself a few vacation homes and then invest millions in my reelection campaign, which I'll just mostly keep for myself. Allegedly. I'm not saying that happens. I'm just saying if I was writing a story about how people enter the United States Congress not wealthy and make $170,000 a year and somehow leave worth hundreds of millions of dollars, that's how I would write it as a fiction author that I am. Not saying that really happened, just saying that's how I would write it. Who can help me with this charity money? Oh, Nick can help me. Wow, Nick's going to donate to my campaign. Very interesting. Nick Scubuto says constitutional crisis. I'm hopeful. For the first time in my life, I feel like the government has people in it, Trump, Elon, et al., that are on our side, the people's side for once. We're not just a bunch of dopes paying the bill and getting our faces spat in, because that's what it's been up to this point. You've seen the arrogance of Europe where Trump's trying to make peace with Russia because people are dying and it's horrible. And the European bureaucrats, they're appalled at peace. They want eternal war because they don't die. Their sons don't die. Their son doesn't go to the battlefront and get blown to pieces by a freaking buzzing drone bomb. They sell the tanks and the planes and the bombs, them and their friends, and then they get rich. And then the peasants, the worthless peasants, die. And you have to understand, pretty much all governments, all politicians see you nothing more than cattle, tax-paying cattle, or that phrase, that ugly phrase, useless eaters. That's what they see you as. And that's why you gotta do what you gotta do legally in your own life. Got to get involved. You got to vote, and you got to speak up. Because one thing these cockroaches don't like is light. Like you ever see a roach in real life, right? What happens when you turn on the light, right? They go scattering. And that's what's happened here with Trump and Elon. It's really nice. IQ, I think, is defined as pattern recognition. There's data in front of you, and do you understand it? And the better you can process the data and understand the nature of your reality, the higher your IQ is. And I think at this point, if you've seen everything you've seen with who Trump is and what he does, and then you see who sides against Trump, and you can't figure out who's right here and who's wrong, I have very bad news about your IQ. I have the worst kind of news about your brain. If you can't see this for what it is, that the people who have been lying to you, ripping you off, stealing millions from you for decades now, ruining lives, countless people dead in unnecessary wars and battlefields. If you can't see that all those people hate Trump and try to stop everything he does, and you can't figure out what that means, well, you probably thought mRNA was, we're not going to get into that. Because it's YouTube, freedom of speech and everything. Let's see. Hey, Jim Bob says, what up, Gabe? About to grab lunch, but I know you were going live, so I jumped in to say, well, hello to you, Jim. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, and I'm illustrating the Unstoppable Tires. You want to see the page I was working on yesterday? I was kind of showing that online. This is how that turned out. I love getting to use negative space. We use the white to draw. So you'll fill in something black, and then you'll use an eraser to draw. I'll show you. I'll just do a quick doodle on here to show you. Like if I wanted to add more hairs here, use the eraser to draw into the black. And that's a really fun thing to do when you're in a dark, shadowy cave like this with high-tech equipment well, I'm not going to spoil the story, but there's some high-tech equipment, and these villains, they're having a good time with what they're about to do with these machines. Strapping this guy into this chair, and just the evil eyes of Gorgon. She's the evil leader. And we're just having a blast with this stuff, man. It's so much fun. We've got up to page 60 illustrated. See, here's the proof. You want the proof? When you crowdfund me, you want the proof that I'm working my ass off? Here it is. These are all the pages of the Unstoppable Tires that are done. These are locked in. These are finished inks. So we got up to page 44 inked, and then I have, you can see up to here, up to page 50 in pencils. And then I have 10 more on my computer, on my desktop computer, this computer right here. This is the iPad that I'm showing you right now. That's the screen I'm throwing up there. So I'm currently working on page 45. So we are cruising, baby. If Trump becomes a dictator, I'm for it. Biden was one, and look where it got us. Trump is a Christian dictator. I think Trump will be hardcore, but he'll work within the law, Jim Bob says, that looks super cool, dude. Thank you. Trump is Hitler because he will uncover our fraud. Let's see. Essa Petteri Holko. Sorry, I got your name wrong, I'm certain. What's up? I'm an artist from Finland. These inks look so nice and sharp. Thank you, Essa. I hope you're doing good in your art, or whatever it is. If you're an amateur, if you're a professional student, my advice to you, not that you asked, maybe you don't need it. Maybe you're a great artist in your home country, and just keep going, man. It's about just the little stuff you do every day. It's about just never quitting. Never quitting. My uncle didn't own DC Comics and get me a job there. I just worked and worked and worked for years, and then they plucked me up and said, hey, come work for us. So now I'm, independent, and it's the time of my life. I'm having the most fun I've ever had making comics. That's any of you that have supported my work, gone to bigmancomics.com and bought Dean Cain, All-American Lawman, and all that good stuff. You made my four-year-old dreams come true. Because yes, working for DC Comics was an amazing privilege. I had a great time while I was there until they got all crazy woke at the end. And couldn't have done it without you guys, to do what I do now. That you support me, that you crowdfund these books, and I'm able to finance the production of this stuff. And I can't wait to get it to you. Empyrean is going to kill it. Since there are more people here now, I'll bring Empyrean back up. Empyrean is a sci-fi epic. Everything you love about, that's the Unstoppable Tires. Everything you love about Star Wars, I brought it back, okay? action, adventure, intrigue, romance, just thrilling, explosive sci-fi action. I mean, look at some of this stuff. The colorist I got for this, like, I'm a professional colorist too, but I just don't have time anymore because I'm writing and drawing so many things. But I was able to find someone who just is doing a job that meets my standard. Look at how great that looks. That's Otomo. He's a sidekick to the humans, the one shooting the green blast. And look at this evil sentry bot with the gold and green. I love that. I love that. I didn't color these pages. I colored about the first 40 of the book. Then I had someone to finish it up. I had two guys actually to finish it up. And it's outstanding what they're doing here. I'm thrilled. I told them we would code the colors of the lasers. Like in Star Wars, you remember, good guys' lasers were always red, bad guys' lasers were always green in the original Star Wars from the 70s and 80s. So I said, yeah, in our book, blue is good guys like shields, lasers, and red is bad guys' lasers. So that way, for the reader, you can kind of keep track of who is shooting and who's doing what. It's just a nice little visual cue to have. So there's one of our main characters, Oliver, and he's talking to the AI that lives in his wristband. It's really fun stuff. And infiltrating the secret base, fighting off the sentry droid and the robots. Here comes the supreme leader of the Empire. His name's Casimir, and he's not a nice fellow. He's a little bit like your Kim Jong-un or whatever. He's got his people fooled that he's this loving, benevolent leader. But yeah, you're going to love this book. If you love, the thing that got me into all this stuff was Star Wars back in the early 80s. I was born in 78. So like my earliest memories are playing Star Wars men when I was 3-4 years old. My earliest memories of like fantasy and all that. If you love that stuff, if you're like me, you know, then if you're in that age range where you loved Star Wars in the 80s, you're going to love this. This is awesome and just so much fun. If you love history too, I love, you know, like Roman history and all that kind of stuff. You're absolutely going to adore this. So Jim Bob says, looks cinematic. Thank you, Jim Bob. I think that way. I do use the Hollywood 3-act model when I write everything. So my graphic novels, right now I'm writing 120-page graphic novels. So they do follow the 3-act structure. So it's like a 2-hour action movie is basically the way I write them. And they have the, you know, the character arcs, they have the hero's journey, they have all that great stuff. And it is that awesome action movie formula, you know, the hero's journey formula, which is ancient. You know, it goes back tens of thousands of years to Sumeria and the Epic of Gilgamesh, right? The oldest thing like that we've ever found written by humans. It follows the hero's journey, you know. So I don't think the hero's journey was created by writers. This is my theory. I think the hero's journey is part of nature, and we observed it. We did not. That's why it makes sense when you hear it, because your brain is a pattern recognition machine. And when you see a pattern from nature, like, ah, yes, that is that. You know, that's what artists do. We recreate patterns. We don't create, we recreate, right? We mimic. And when we the hero's journey is a pattern, and it's the pattern of becoming a man. You're a little boy, you're born, you're breastfed, you're just a little guy, then you become a toddler, you're hiding behind mama's skirt, you're in the village still, protected. Then you're 10, 11, 12 years old, and dad and the men of the village say, you're coming with us into the forest, and you're going to kill a wolf, or you're going to help us catch this or do that. And you leave the safety of mama, the normal world, right? You know, loving, hugging, breast milk, cuddles. She sings to you to put you to sleep, soothing you, this, that, and the other. And then they take you out to the danger zone, the men, and they prove to you that you're not weak and helpless. They have you prove to yourself that you're not weak and helpless, and that you can be like them. And then you return, a little bit of blood on your face with the dead beast that you killed, and now you're a man. And that is what the hero's journey, that's what Star Wars, Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, they tell that story over and over and over. So the hero's journey was not created by artists. It was observed that it is the human story of going from a boy to a man. That's what I believe about the hero's journey. And that's why it resonates so well with men and women who watch it. You know what I mean? For women, there's a different journey. But for men, that is our journey, to go from hiding behind mama's skirts, you know, like, oh, who's over there, to, you know, all of a sudden you're killing. I remember my dad, I'm Christian. My dad is Muslim. He's from Libya. And he would slaughter, he has a farm, like he has some land in Colorado, and he'll have cows and sheep and stuff. And he'll kill a lamb every once in a while, and then, you know, butcher it, and then, you know, sell some of the meat and eat a bunch of it. And I remember he would do it. He'd bring the lamb out. He would pray. They would face the east. They would like face Mecca, say a prayer, and then slit the neck, hang the lamb up, let all the blood drain out. It's like the Jews and the kosher. They have the Arabs, the Muslims have halal. It's the same concept of the dietary laws. And I remember being with my dad one summer, and he gave me the knife. I was 12. He says, you're going to cut the throat. And it was terrifying. And I did it. And I did it, and I was fine. And that's the thing that the hero's journey is, that you are faced with the adult world of danger and brutality and challenges. And the challenges are between your ears. They're the mental challenges of the terrifying nature of being a man in the world, that there is no one. It's you. It's you versus dangers, you versus reality, you versus death. And the men teach the boys, you can do this. You can do it just like me. They point out to you, the men, I was once just a boy like you, and I did it. And I think that's why I love coaching football so much. I coached youth football forever when my son played. And I would teach the boys that you can be a football player. You can be tough. You could take a big hit. You can give a big hit, and you're going to get up and you're going to be fine. And I think the hero's journey is about the human story of becoming a man. And that's why it's missing in cinema today mostly, because everything is woke girl boss shit. And that's why the girl boss stuff doesn't work, because it violates nature. So when you're enjoying art, you're enjoying the patterns of nature being recreated. And since the girl boss and the weak man stuff violates the patterns of nature, it's why you inherently don't like it. Because what your brain is doing when you're consuming art is going, yes, that's true. That's what the enjoyment of art is the artist recreated a pattern, and your brain goes, that is true. That is how blah, blah, blah is. And when they make it woke and girl boss, it's like your brain's like, that's not true. So besides being evil, woke, DEI, whatever, it violates nature. It violates science. So it bothers you on a subconscious level of your brain telling you, man, this doesn't really make sense. So the origin of Superman closely resembles the story arc of Moses. Yes, that's true. That's the mob seat. The War Shark Productions been putting your systems into practice rather than goals. Thanks, is making a difference. War Shark Productions is talking about systems versus goals. I did not coin that thought, but I've had it since I was a little boy. I didn't learn it. It was just naturally my mindset. I think very few people naturally observe the world this way, but I'm hyper logical. That's something I've learned about myself recently. To an unusual degree, I'm quite logical, like a Vulcan. And I remember it was Bring Your Father to School Day or whatever. I was in first grade in Mr. Schuldner's class at Jackson Elementary in Greeley, Colorado. And there was a Hewlett-Packard campus in Greeley, Colorado for years. One boy's dad was a computer engineer. And, I'm in first grade, so I'm 7. And his dad gets up in front of the class and starts talking about being a computer programmer and working on computer bugs. And it's all going over my head. But I love Star Wars and science fiction. So I knew what computers were and this and that. And I'd seen one episode of Robotech. And I remember the computer glitched out in the cartoon, and there were all these sparks and like circles of light around it, and it looked so cool. And when he started talking about working on a computer bug, I started thinking about that. But here's the main thought I had about systems versus goals. I thought, I don't know what this kid's dad is talking about. Being a computer programmer, I don't know. I'm 7. I don't know, but I really like it. And do you know what else I know? I distinctly remember this moment in my life. I said, do you know what else I know? I'm talking to myself. I could do what he's doing, even though I don't understand it. If I went back to Hewlett-Packard with him, they set up 2 identical computers next to each other. And he did it, whatever you do, and then I do it. Push this button, then I push the button. Then he pushes that button, and I realized that any skill, anything you want to do is just a matter of consistency over time and repetition. That's all everything is. Because people tell you could never be in the NBA. You could never be an artist. You could never be a singer. You could never be this. You could never be that, because the people that do it have talent. I'm here to disabuse you of that notion, tell you that's absolute bullshit. Is there talent? Absolutely. There are people that are way better at things naturally. It doesn't mean you can't learn to be good at it. And that's what nobody wants to admit, because the people who don't have the talent, it will be much harder, much harder. So hard that it'll be demoralizing. So it's easy to tell yourself that you can't because you don't have the talent. That's an easy thing, an easy lie to tell yourself. That way you don't have to face that you didn't want to do the grueling work. Now, do I blame anyone? Would I blame a 4'3" guy for not trying to get in the NBA? No. You know how hard that would be for someone that short? But it is possible. And you can go ahead and laugh if you want. I don't really care. But if one man can do something, any man can do it. And forget the talented. That's fine. You can overcome the lack of talent. You really can. And people argue with me about this all the time. And I don't care, because I see that people that have my mindset, they tend to achieve things. They tend to realize if I just do something long enough, it's bound to work. It's like, could you dig through a mountain with just a couple, small shovels and stuff? You could. It would take decades. It'd be better to use giant equipment, but you could, is the point. You know what I mean? So is it worth it? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the effort? Well, that's a personal question you're going to have to answer. But systems versus goals is realizing I don't focus on the goal of I want this. It's like, that's great. It's great that you want it. Nobody cares. No one cares that you want it. What you need to want is the work to get it. And this mindset was wired into me from birth. I remember coaching youth soccer 20 something years ago. And I told the kids, don't focus on scoring the goal, like kicking the ball in the goal. Focus on getting from your end of the field to the other with good passes and moves and things like that. That's the system. That's the journey. If you focus on the daily work, the goal will take care of itself. If you're going down the soccer field against the other team's defense, this, that, and the other, and you just focus on doing as good as a job as you can on that, eventually you'll find yourself standing in front of the goal with nobody there to block you. You know what I mean? Your time will come. They say success is hard work meets opportunity. So if you just work consistently, one day the break will come. The way I got into comics professionally was practicing forever, right? The hard work. No one's paying me, not getting any jobs, nothing like that. And I would go online to the imagecomics.com message boards and I would post art and talk to people there. And eventually I started getting little jobs here and there. I was working on indie comics, and then Jim Lee put up on his blogger website in late 2007 that DC Comics needed a new staff colorist at the San Diego office where I had happened to be from. I was living in Colorado at the time because I'd gone to college out there, and we'd lived out there for 8 years, my wife and kids and I. And my time came because I stayed consistent over time. So whatever you want to do, don't believe the bullshit. Don't believe your own hurt feelings about your life and they were mean to you and your dad was never there. That's sad, but it happened to pretty much everyone in modern society, dude. Your life may have been bad. It's not much worse than others. And wallowing in your shit, as painful as it is, isn't going to help you. I don't mean to be heartless, but I'm just being real with you. Wallowing and crying about it will do nothing for you. So wipe the blood off your face, get up and start, hit the gym, as they say. Whatever that hitting the gym is in your life, whether it's literally the gym, whether it's going back to college or something. But just do it because you're going to live once. And the time's going to pass anyway. And if you don't do it, you will regret it. The years happen anyway. They happen no matter what the years. So you can have what you want in a few years, or you could just be who you are today in a few years. But the nightmarish truth is you won't be who you are today because nothing holds still. Nothing is static. Things are either, it's a binary. Things are either growing or they are dying. And that's it. There is no third, oh, it's staying exactly the same. That's not a thing. Everything is growing or dying always. So are you improving yourself? Is it growing? Are you growing your life? Are you growing your goals? Are you growing spiritually? Are you growing as a person, your health, your wealth, all of it? Are you growing or are you just stagnating? And stagnation is death. So let's see. Muck Matumba, 5'1" in the NBA. That's right, baby. If one man can do it, any man can do it. Any good books to learn how to write dialogue better? Writing a fantasy story in comic format, kind of League of Legends meets Avatar, The Last Airbender meets Narnia. The Red Sneaker Writers series of books by William Bernhardt are awesome. I don't know how to tell you how to write dialogue because it comes to me naturally. I have the mental genetics. It's in my family. My uncle, my dad, myself, my daughter, some of my cousins, my brother. We have the language gift thing, the quick wit, and I can just improv dialogue, and I've always been able to do it. This is the talent thing I'm talking about. I don't know how to learn how to write dialogue because I've always just been able to do it. The people that read the books I write, they love the dialogue. That's one of the most fun things to me is writing the dialogue. So I can't really tell you how to learn it because I don't remember learning to write dialogue. It's just something I can do. But I know that the William Bernhardt Red Sneaker Writers books, they're invaluable. I've had those books for 10 years. I listen to them as audiobooks while I draw and color on my computer and all that. And they're fantastic books. He has books about character, about plot, about pacing, about editing, and books about dialogue. And he has books about everything. He's a New York Times best-selling crime fiction author. So when someone has the results you want, professional, award-winning New York Times best-selling author, listen to people who have done listen to someone who's like, say life is a path, it's a journey, and someone is coming down the road and they've gone to the city you want to go to. Success. That's the city you want to go to. Ask them how they got there. Say, okay, you've been there. You're on your way home now for a while to do whatever. You're on vacation to somewhere else, but I know you've been to where I want to go. How is it done? And then listen. I said the other day, the one thing I like about Eric July is he has the humility to learn. there's a lot of detractors and haters. It's very funny to me. I'm endlessly amused by the people predicting his demise. They remind me of the global warming people, like that we only have 5 years left and then the world will flood or whatever. Like Greta Thunberg, how dare you? And that AOC clown talking about, oh, it's, by 2000. I remember Al Gore's like, by 2012, New York City will be underwater. Well, it's 13 years post 2012, and New York City looks fine to me. It's a crime-ridden cesspit, but it's not underwater. And the Eric July detractors are the global change people of comics. That any minute now, Eric July is going out of business. I made a video yesterday. It's done very well for me. It's my highest ranked video in weeks. It says the Rippaverse has failed, and then I go on to say they failed to go out of business. They failed to disappoint customers. They've failed to it was a mocking kind of title. But and then I had a tweet go viral, like 30,000 something impressions, huge amount of impressions. Really pissed people off that hate Eric July, where I was just laughing about it and just saying, yeah, his detractors just hate him because he's demonstrating the thing I was just telling you about, the systems versus goals, the consistency over time. Has he gotten everything right? Is he the world's greatest writer? Is this perfection? No, but you stick to things longer than 4 seconds, dude. Like when you run a business, will you make mistakes and do things wrong? Yeah, you will. But if you stick to it and you learn from your mistakes and change and grow, that's what business looks like. Every business has its flaws and problems, right? I mean, duh. You'd have to be an idiot not to understand that. But I don't know. I think it's funny. I don't know what people's problem. It's jealousy. It's just petty jealousy. People don't accomplish a lot, or they're falling short, or whatever, or they're just an egomaniac, and there's a Deion Sanders, NFL Hall of Famer. He said years ago, and it stuck with me. I heard it and I understood it. They don't boo nobodies. People make fun of Starbucks, but they don't make fun of the mom and pop coffee shop because nobody knows who that is. You know what I mean? People, for their own ego, like to talk about things that are perceived as better than them and bring it down and say, it's not better than me. Here's how I'm better than this great thing. People shit all over. I'm a big football guy, so they shit all over Mahomes and Tom Brady. They don't shit on the third string quarterback that's a backup guy, right? They crap on the best one because it's a way to deal with their feelings of inferiority. So don't get caught up in that hate and that weird stuff like that. It's funny. Laugh at it, laugh at people that are being foolish, but don't engage. You know what I mean? Like, it's not worth engaging. So let's see the chat here. They're great audiobooks on YouTube by Robert E. Howard that let you hear the dialogue he wrote and how realistic it sounds in a fantasy setting. If you want to break the wall to get success, your first step, get your fists up and learn to live in pain. Damn right. That's it. It's every day, and it never ends, by the way. I lift weights 4 days a week, and I would feel weird if someone asked me, well, when are you going to quit lifting weights? I'm not going to quit. Like, maybe if I get so old that I can't do, but even if I was an old man, I would still lift a 5-pound weight. You know what I mean? I would still do it. Let's see. Shadower says, I make audiobooks based on my story. Here is what I do to make my characters sound real. Winter Haven Conversations is simple. Make them sound like someone you know, or read books to listen to. Yeah, the dialogue thing is a mystery to me, how people learn it, because I just know how to do it. And I don't know. I'm telling you, it's genetic. My daughter's a stand-up comedian. My uncle was an attorney. And, we just have the gift of gab. We just do genetically. So I can't tell you how to learn that because it's just something. It's like I'm very tall. I'm 6'4". I can't tell you how to be tall because I was just born that way. So as far as dialogue and all that, it's just something I know how to do. And I have to admit, I never really put much effort into learning it. It's just, I can do it. And I've been doing it since I was a little boy. When I would play action figures, I wouldn't go, boom, 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 I'll get you, Serpentor, or whatever. It was no, we have to, you betrayed my faction. Where it was deep, deep, deep storytelling with characterizations and plot twists and evil clones. And it was really imaginative stuff. And I remember playing with my friend once, and it was so disappointing. He came over to play Ninja Turtles once, and it was just doing moves and punches and kicks. And where's your imagination? There's no story to what you're saying. And to me, it was always deep narrative. So I think dialogue and storytelling is just something kind of baked into my brain from birth. And, there are people that are just that way. But yeah, dialogue is a thrill to write. I really love it. I did a lot of, I've done and, still help a little bit, a lot of joke writing through the years. So again, dialogue, play on words, that's just something that I can do. And I have a lot of fun doing it. So, let's see. I always thought Darth Sidious was more Hitler. I figured Darth Vader was more of a metaphor for people who fell for Hitler and his manipulation. Let's see. The Mob Seat says, I think it's important to base art on real people and not other people's characters. George Lucas based Darth Vader on Hitler, not being the merciless to make the character more realistic. I would say, I'll give you one hint about dialogue. Who is your character and like what is their base personality and what is their base goal in the story and in their personal life? And then, like I do improv comedy. I do a lot of it on Wednesday nights here on this channel. The rule in improv is called yes and. So if you're doing a improv comedy skit like that show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? When the first person makes up the imaginary scenario, the second person who responds to them is not allowed to disagree. The first guy turns to the second guy and goes, man, this is a really fun carnival Ferris wheel. If the first guy goes, this is not a Ferris wheel, we were on a submarine. He just ruined everything. So he has to go, this is a really fun Ferris wheel. The second guy goes, yeah, man, I've only been on 3 of these, where, I don't know, something like, oh, this is the 3rd one I've been on today. Like he'll add to the reality. So one thing to help you with your dialogue is decide who your character is, what they want. Are they evil? Are they dishonest? Are they nervous? Don't do smart alecky just because Marvel movies have ruined smart alecky. I hate that. Actually, that Marvel dialogue, please don't ever do that because it's so awful. And but decide who your character is, and then everything they say and do should pretty much be an echo of that. It should agree with that mindset. That way, your story has what we call verisimilitude, meaning it agrees with itself. It could be about anything, time traveling, robot dinosaurs. It could be about anything fantastic. And as long as the story, the dialogue, the pacing all agrees with itself, you will get the audience to suspend their disbelief. So that would be my advice there on dialogue. So if you have the dishonest guy who's mean and selfish, everything he says and does should reflect that sort of thing. It does make him a little bit of cliche if you don't pull it off with some grace. But if you're able to use it with some style and stuff like that, you'll be able to develop the characters better. What am I doing wrong here? Shouldn't feel. Oh, we don't want that at all. Right. Okay. Fun thought. Story is king. Dialogue is a scepter. Action is your cape. Story is king. Like, see, I don't disagree with you because I think there's just different ways of looking at things. A lot of people talk about plot-driven stories and character-driven stories and this and the other. And I don't, in my opinion, the way I see it, that doesn't exist. In my opinion, character and plot and story, it's all the same thing. Because in my opinion, it's like a great sandwich. What is the sandwich? Is it the bread? Is it the roast beef? Is it the mayo? Is it the pickles? Is it the red onions, the mustard? What is the sandwich? And to me, the answer is all of it is the sandwich. Every part of that is what the sandwich is. So I don't think there are character-driven stories and plot-driven stories. I don't think that exists. I actually think all of it is what makes it. And William Bernhardt points this out in his books on plot and character and all that. That character and plot are not different things. They're in fact the same thing because the plot reveals the character. And if you think about it, it's like, what is Indiana Jones's character? Well, we only find out from the plot. What he chooses to do and not do shows who he is as a man. So in that regard, plot and character, they're like 2 pedals on a bike. The left pedal doesn't work without the right pedal. So the pedal mechanism of the right and the left pedal and the gear, the sprocket in the middle, it's all one thing. So I don't really believe in plot driven, character driven. I don't believe in stuff like that. I think the whole thing is one thing. You know what I mean? Like, does that make sense? So that's just my viewpoint. And if you need to look at it a different way, whatever, that's fine too. It's like I'm not the lawgiver of writing. I'm not interested in that. What the frick is this? Oh, wrong one. Sorry, I'm trying to fix a little mistake I had on the panel edge here. Give me a second. Okay, there, I had to concentrate on that. Okay, lock that one, go back to this one. We're drawing an orangutan. I said orangutan most of my life. I think a lot of people say that. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, we're gonna have to back way up. Okay, there he is. Yeah, everything I drew here, I deleted it by accident, but I brought it back. Okay, we're okay. Let me look at the chat. Thanks for sharing your art with us. It's so cool to see the process. Well, you're welcome. The Wolfbreak, I definitely have their personalities all down. I feel like I'm okay. I just need to be able to move the story forward better. I guess pacing is what I'm trying to say. Get a story structure. Again, I'm telling you, the William Bernhardt Red Sneaker Writers, these are invaluable books. He is a New York Times bestselling author. He will break it down in a very scientific way. The diagram of the story structure and the dialogue and everything. Also, Shakespeare said brevity is the soul of wit, right? You have a thin, watery soup, put it on simmer, boil all that water out till you get a thick, luscious, like gravy almost. That's what you do with your dialogue. And the example he gives in his book is say, the blood dripped slowly. The blood dripped slowly. That's 4 words. The blood oozed. It's 3 words, right? Do stuff like that. Adjectives. Never use adjectives. Don't say he quickly ran. He sprinted, right? He sprinted. That because here's why you use less words. It's why you use less lines when you draw. It's why less is always more. Because I have an idea in my head as an artist, and I got to get this idea from my head to your head. The more stuff I add, the more words, the more ideas, the more lines on the drawing. This is why hyper detailed, scratchy 1993 style comic book art is not great. The more lines you add that don't have a purpose, that don't have unity and verisimilitude with the rest of the drawing, the more stuff you add to the story just to add details because you kind of don't know what to do, you're muddying the message. There's a lot of noise and not much signal. Simplify. That's what you do when you draw. That's what you do when you color. That's what you do when you write. Doug Tenaple, the creator of Earthworm Jim, friend of mine, I did a bunch of coloring for him on the Bigfoot Bill comics. He said, let the big shape win. We were talking about my work, coloring some of his stuff. And he said, let the big shape win. Do you understand what that means? It means when I'm coloring, I don't color detail on every last thing on the page because everything will disappear if you do that. So when you write, you let the big idea win. When you draw, you let the big shapes win. If I'm drawing the edge of this toe thumb, I draw 1, 2. What I don't do is 1, 2, 3. I start putting all this extra detail in. It destroys the shape of that thing, right? So you let the big shape win. That's what you do. That's what's going on here. You simplify. When we're young and we draw, we have insecurity. We want to show off. We want to show people we have technical skills. And what that leads us to as young illustrators, young writers, young whatever, is like, oh, I better add a lot of superfluous detail so everyone knows I'm a draftsman. And that's why you get this hyper detailed art that isn't good detail. It's noise. It's all kinds of bells and whistles, textures, concentric circles, just nonsense design. And it just becomes noise. And it isn't good. It doesn't lend itself to. I'm not going to name an artist who does too many details because that would be picking on them. But just imagine a 1990 style artist with all that crazy detail. You remember how comics looked in the early 90s? There was a lot of detail that didn't have rhyme or reason because it was a lack of skill. It was a lack of understanding of anatomy and structure and all that. Then you look at like a Steve Rude. Dude is a master illustrator, and his work has such little detail compared to those guys. And he is 1,000 times the illustrator they are. I'll show you Steve Rude's work. Watch. But I won't bust out a over detailed guy because that'd be mean. I don't want to do that. I don't want to shit on people's art like that. But here's Steve Rude. Okay, here's Steve Rude. Let's bring him up. And he's a genius illustrator, right? But it's simple. It's simple deceptively. It's actually the most complex stuff. He's a friend of a friend. I don't know Steve. I've only spoken to him once. He was one of the originators of Nexus with Mike Barron. And look at how simple that art is. But Steve is more than capable of painting photorealistically if he wants. Steve can put all the superfluous detail and all the crap if he wants. He just realizes the cleanest way to get the message from his head to yours is with simplified art, So let's open this in a new tab. I got to be careful clicking things because you don't know what's going on. You don't know if other nudity or other bullshit. So when you're doing image search, you got to be real careful. Let me find something. So let's find a painting of his, right? A beautiful painting. So here's a painting of Captain Kirk by Steve Rude. Well, let's go through this here. Here's Supergirl, right? Beautiful work. Supergirl, okay? And every bit of detail has a purpose, just like when you write dialogue, when you write story, when you color, when you draw. There's a reason that he put everything there because he took the time to study and learn and knows what he's doing. You know, look at this. This is lower detail. It's not hyper detailed, yet he nails the likeness of the actor, right? William Shatner. But the details are lesser than you see a lot of the 90s style squishy, scratchy art. This is what I'm talking about in all art. Let the big shape win. Let the big idea win. You know, there's super detailed art that's gorgeous, like a Bernie Wrightson or whatever, because everything he's doing, he knows why he's doing it. So Bernie Wrightson, Frankenstein. Now I'll show you the super detailed that's awesome because there's a super this is unbelievable. When you see this, it's unbelievable, right? Hold on. I just have to drag the image off the screen before I go over them because I don't want nudity or some weird shit while I'm doing the image search. This is Bernie Wrightson's. Get this. Okay, it's asking me about cookies. Get out of here. This is from a Frankenstein book he did years ago. Let me see if I can blow this up. Open image in new tab. Let's see if we can blow it up when we put it there. Look at this. Look at this, like an etching, like a steel plate etching. Hundreds of thousands of lines, just all those bottles and beakers and laboratory equipment. Look at the Frankenstein and the monster. This is the laboratory of Dr. Frankenstein where he created the monster, right? So this guy's ultra detailed. There's nothing wrong with details if you know what the hell you're doing. Every single negative space, positive space, and this scan on the computer, this is not doing it justice. You don't understand the level of detail in this. The shoulder muscle right there on that Frankenstein, that's made of lines that are at a diagonal that go from thick to thin, like on the dollar bill when you look really close at the way those faces are sculpted. This thing is insane. And it's gorgeous because he knew why he put every line on this page. The problem with putting too many words, too many ideas in the story, too much dialogue, too much detail in the drawing is you had better be able to stand in front of the Supreme Court and argue why you put that line in the drawing. I will ask you, sir, why is that line next to the nose? And you better have an answer, not like, it needed detail. Like that kills writing, it kills drawing, it kills everything to do that. And it does show a lack of confidence and a lack of skill. You should never create your art for other people. Ever, 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 ever. Don't do it. It's the death of art. Art is self-expression. You make it for you. And if you make it for you and it's good, people will love it. Don't worry about that. It'll take care of itself. Look at how Stanley Kubrick moves the movie along with little dialogue in The Shining in 2001, right? Don't explain what people can see. Right. Well, here's the other thing about don't over-explain and don't hold on. Don't over-explain, don't put too much detail. Here's the other reason why this is important. We're gonna go in like a few minutes. At noon, I gotta go. The imagination is emotionally perfect. You know, when you think about a monster, but they don't show the monster, your brain fills it in with one word: terror. And it's scary to think about. But if I show you the monster and it's like cheesy and it's bad special effects and it doesn't look good, now I've taken away the ability for your imagination to tell you what it thinks the monster may have been. So anything I can leave out and not tell you is gold. Anything that I can give you enough clues and you figure out the rest, that's beyond gold. That's platinum. That is the most valuable substance in art. Letting your imagination do the lifting for me, because your imagination has an unlimited budget and it taps right into the emotional center of your brain, which is where I'm trying to get. Your imagination is my inside man who works at the bank to help me rob the bank. Your imagination is my inside guy. And he's in there and he goes in and he gives you what I wanted to give you as an artist, as a writer. So you can tell I think about this stuff a lot, right? I'm obsessed with it. I love doing it. I hope it shows. I love working hard. You know, that came from my grandpa and football and all the stuff I was raised in. My grandpa was a real blue-collar kind of guy, World War II veteran, came back from the Pacific, married my grandma, and he was poor. He faced real racism. You know, I don't believe in any wokeness or any race stuff now. It's a free country. Everything's equal now. No excuses. But, you know, he was Mexican in the 40s, returning from there, and it wasn't great. You know, that's the truth of it. And but he persevered, and he wasn't a victim anyway, and he never was racist and didn't hate white people or nothing like that. And he made it, though. He opened his own tortilla factory and Mexican restaurant with my grandma. and they did quite well at that for a while there, you know. And I would get up in the mornings, starting in middle school, when I would visit them in the summers, and go make dough and make tortillas and work really hard, get all sweaty, all loud and hot and dangerous in the factory. And I learned to work very hard and to love working hard. It was just reality to me. It was never a question of do we work hard. It was just like, this is who we are. This is what we do. So I approach art the same way. I think a lot of artists are getting high on themselves, and very much it's not about the love of art. It's not about the solemn appreciation for the gift that art, that the fact that art even exists is like such a gift, and we should be humbled and grateful that we get to do it for a living and get to do it and get paid well. And I think people have no respect for art itself and for their audience when they're lazy and slow and they're obsessed with being a social media star and starting drama and just being a jerk. And it's like, do you know how lucky you are? Do you know how many people just suffer away in poverty in other countries and jobs they hate and stuff? Like, you should be on your knees every day, thankful that you get to wake up and do this. And, you know, I think if someone has that attitude long enough, maybe it'll be taken from them, you know, by circumstance. You know, maybe their audience will dry up and go away, or they'll never make it. And I think if you don't humble yourself and appreciate the miracle that it is to get to do this for a living, the envy of so many people, and it's not, aha, you're jealous. It's not that. It's, wow, I am lucky. My favorite artist of comics, Jim Lee, personally hired me. Like, do you know how amazing that is to think about? I'm so lucky, so blessed. So I don't have any right to do a bad job. You know, my dad came here as a legal immigrant from a horrible country, a lot of suffering. My grandparents on my mom's side were not from another country. We've been in America for 300 years or more, or something like that. So we're not immigrants on my maternal side, but a lot of poverty there. They're being poor Mexicans and all this stuff. And some of that shading came out great. And I don't have the right to do a bad job. That's how I look at it. Like, they went through so much shit for me. Now I don't have a right to turn around and go, well, I'm gonna put my feet up. Thank you for setting it all up. I'm gonna take some time to chill out. You know, I don't believe in that at all. I think that's nuts. I think it's terrible. So I think it's disgraceful, to be frank. So let's see. Should I get into some more? I guess I could draw some more of this background. Any other questions? Are we ready to go? Guys, hit the like, hit the share. I'm gonna go in a minute. I gotta go put on my shoes. I'm gonna go exercise for a little bit, maybe get some lunch. I gotta run an errand. Somebody go to bigmancomics.com, get yourself a copy of the first printing of Dean Cain All-American Lawman. We still have some of those in stock. I have like 200 or more or less. Of the autographed editions, I have less than 10. I have just a few signed by Dean and myself. Acheon, the guy who's laying out the Unstoppable Tyrus, the one I'm doing inks on, he will begin illustrating Dean Cain, I believe, in April or May. So hopefully we'll have that one out before the end of the year, Dean Cain Volume 2. I'm trying to get 4 books done this year and out before the end of the year, the holidays. We'll see. Definitely have these 2 almost done. Tyrus is about a third of the way drawn, and then Empyrean is coming. So yeah, we'll definitely get these 2 out this year, God willing, but I'm trying to get 4 out, but I'm not rushing anything. When you crowdfund, when you trust me with your money, you hand me money, then see if I'm going to give you something. I'm not going to mess that up, guys. I'm going to work my ass off. I love what I'm doing. I love you guys. I love your support. Hit the like, hit the share, and let's go peek on something real quick, and then we'll get out of here. So we'll head over here, and then we'll head over here. Hold on. I'm bringing something up for you guys. No, not that one. That one, this one. Okay. Let's bring it up. Come on. Okay, it picks the time now to kind of freeze the web. Okay, so yeah, head over here to bigmancomics.com, and I'll show you what we got. Okay, this is it here. If you go here, we have these 4 books slated for 2025. Oh, I guess it'd be nice if I put it on the screen. Dean Cain All-American Lawman, Volume 116-page graphic novel. You will love it. It is 80s and 90s style action adventure. Go and get that. Empyrean is practically done. It's fully illustrated. The colors are almost done. The Unstoppable Tyrus, you just saw me drawing some of it. Dean Cain All-American Lawman Volume 2 will begin being drawn in the late spring. And Jericho Green and the Hammerheads, that's what I'll be getting to after Tyrus. I have a 5th book called Tripoli. It's a military action thriller taking place in Tripoli, Libya in Africa. And that one is a one I'm really excited to be working on. So that's the upcoming stuff here. Hopefully we get it all done in 2025. We crowdfund it. You guys get it and you have a great time. Okay, guys. Go, and you can also go to bigmancomics.com and get yourself one of these awesome shirts. You join the, let's see, the Anti-Socialist Social Club. You know, we don't like the socialists. We don't like what they're doing. You can get the All-American shirt, the Fool Around and Find Out shirt. You can get any of those. And those are at bigmancomics.com right now. Okay, guys, hit the like, hit the share, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye. Oh, wait, before I end the stream, Nicholas Wilson says, what is Dean like? Dean is awesome. He's a real guy. The Dean you see on my channel when he comes on here, when he's on the news, and he's like friendly and personable and humble and kind, 100%. When I hang out with him in Vegas, I go to his house, we do this, we do that. Same dude. He's a real dude. Salt of the earth, one of the best guys I've met. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.